So I've been using Anchor for over a year now, and it's one of the easiest ways to make a podcast. It's free, and there are creation tools that allow you to record and edit podcasts right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many more. And you can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership if you want to or wish to. And it's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And if you want to make a podcast, you can go to anchor.fm to get started. And it is very easy to do to make a podcast on there. And you have unlimited data memory on there as well. I would recommend using Anchor to make a podcast. Hi, I am Jennifer Purcell, and welcome to my podcast, Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge, where we will discuss, discover, and learn more about the challenges and triumphs of those with NLD and other learning challenges. I do have a website for this podcast, and it is called livingwithnld.com. I also have a Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter account for the podcast. They are all under the same name, which is Living with NLD. I also have a YouTube channel for the podcast, which can be found by Googling the title of the podcast, which is Living with an Invisible Learning Challenge. I would like to tell you about a nonprofit that I use for my research for this podcast. It is called the NLD Project, and I use their blog for my research. They are a nonprofit that is based in New York and is trying to get NVLD back on the DSM, and they provide many resources for people with NVLD on their website. I'll provide you with the website for them in the podcast description. All proceeds from the ads on this podcast will be donated towards the NVLD project. Please feel free to explore the other topics on the podcast, and hopefully you will learn something new from them. I hope you enjoy today's episodes. So on September 18th will be the next Facebook chat for members of my podcast audience that have NLD or other learning challenges. And this group creates a safe space for you to talk about anything that may be on your mind relating to NLD or any other learning challenges that you may have, or relating to other personal things that you may be going through, and creates a group that has confidentiality built into it as well and will support you with anything that you need support with. And it is on September 18th at 10 a.m. Pacific time zone, and it goes until 11:30 a.m. Pacific time zone. So I hope you will be able to come to that. If you would like to join, please let me know by emailing me at livingwithnld@gmail.com or message me on the Living with NLD Facebook page. Thank you, and have a great Friday. Bye. To access the testimonials, there are two ways. There's a testimonial page with the full quotes, and then there is a slideshow on the home page with excerpts of the longer ones and the short ones. On the last image of the testimonial quote with Julia's quote, you can click on it and it will take you to the testimonial page where it shows you all of them with the full quoted testimonials. I did it that way because I wanted it to be easier to read on the home page, since some of them were a little longer than a testimonial usually is. And then I wanted to make sure that you could see the whole testimonial on the testimonial page. So I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, you can email me at livingwithnld@gmail.com and I will try to show you how to access it. Thank you. Hope you're having a good weekend. Bye. Hello, so today we will be talking about NLD and responsibility. Today I want to talk to you about a very special member of my family, my dog Truffles, and how she helped me become more responsible in my life. I also want to talk about how responsibility relates to NLD. It can help you feel more independent, confident, and in this case, how having a dog can help you with expressing emotions better. I'll be talking in Truffles' voice and my voice in this podcast. So, this is her voice. Hi, everyone. I'm here to make my debut. And this is my voice. Do you want to tell them how we got you, Truffles? Yes, Mummy. So, let's go back to October of 2010. My mom was sick when she saw Truffles' picture. Back then, Truffles didn't have a name. And by this point, she had already asked me if I wanted a dog. I remember saying, "What kind of question is that, Mom?" Then it was a rainy Friday when we went to go look for Truffles. And when I saw her, I said, "She's too hyper." They'll never let me forget that I said that about her. I was thinking, oh, great, this is not my day to be picked. They better give me a bath so I calm down and somebody takes me home with them. They gave her a bath and she calmed down with my parents and I were sorry. Let me start over with that sentence. They gave her a bath and she calmed down while my parents and I were talking about whether or not to get her or look somewhere else. We decided to get her. On the way home, she threw up on my favorite jacket that used to be my brother's. Oh well. I remember what it was like to crate train and potty train her. My mom and I would take turns sleeping on the couch for a week or two until she got trained to hold it overnight. Eventually, one night after taking her out, I left the door open to the crate and she jumped up into my bed. I remember that too, Mommy. It was so much nicer to sleep with you that night than in that tight box. Thank you for doing that, Mommy. You're welcome. And now you sleep with me or my parents if you're scared by lightning and thunder. I remember walking you and buying toys for you. I remember waiting to figure out how to get you up at college with me. I remember those years too, Mommy, and wondering where you were and waiting for you to come home each month and then go back. How long did we do that for, Mommy? 2.5 years. Then for the last year and a half of college, I had you with me. I remember walking to class with you, Mommy, and meeting your friends and professors. I remember asking my professors if I could have you in class with me. I told them you were my ESA, which is true, and that you would be very quiet also. By the way, ESA stands for Emotional Support Animal. And for those of you who don't know this, but emotional support animal, at least when I did it, I don't know if this has changed. It's pretty easy to do. You can ask a therapist or a counselor to write a letter explaining why you need that animal, whether it's a dog, a cat, a bunny, or I've heard even a monkey, but I think that's a little weird. But in this case, it's Truffles for me. And she helps me a lot with expressing emotions. And when I was up at school, I was really homesick and just didn't know how to express my emotions other than when I ran and probably started crying afterwards or sometimes while I was running because I was missing home and Truffles and my parents and my friends at home. So it just really helped to have her up there with me for the last year and a half, and you know, it's not easy having a dog. You do have to do a lot of training for them, but boy, do they bring a lot of joy into your life and unconditional love, and they can teach you a lot of things. I mean, Truffles has loved me anytime in my life, even when I've been overweight and even when I've been in a bad mood because of my migraines. Yeah, I do love you, Mommy. I love you too, Truffles. Um, and I created that voice for Truffles when my mom started speaking to her, and her voice, my mom's voice for Truffles is a little different than my voice for her, but it's kind of fun to do that, and I've always wondered what dogs think in their minds. So, anyways, back to when she was in college with me. This is Truffles. Yes, I was a good girl, Mommy. I loved getting attention from your classmates and friends. I know they loved you too, so did my professors, especially Alex and Michael. Alex was one of my GSIs in college. He was in sociology. He's actually been on this podcast. He did the one about social theory. And Michael was the professor for that class, Social Theory 101 and 102. And yes, I miss those people, Mommy. Will we ever see them again? Maybe, Truffles, you never know. I loved having you with me up there and walking you on the fire trails. I remember all those smells on the trails, Mommy. How many miles did we walk? Usually 4 or 6. That's a lot for my little legs. Truffles, should we tell them about how weird you are with all the nicknames and how many different animals you act like? Ooh, me? Not me, Mommy. That's my alter ego, Duma. See, you just said one of the names that you have, or nicknames, I should say. And also that you have an alter ego. That proves you are at least a little weird. Oh, oops. Silly Truffles. So, Truffles, do you know that you act like a cat? Really? You jump high and lay on top of couch cushions. I don't do that, Mommy. That's tumor. You act like a bird when you want to curl up in a ball between my legs like it's a nest. I really do that, Mommy? I guess I am weird. Oops. It's okay. That's how you fit into this family. And you never know it, but sometimes Truffles is with me when I'm recording my podcast episodes. I tell her to be very quiet so she doesn't mess up the recording. I'm a good little girl when I want to be, Mommy. Yes, you are. I think it's adorable how you always wait for me when I stop to do something on the way to my bedroom at night. I didn't train you to do that. You trained yourself. Also, when you beg for attention by pawing your paws or legs, so I'll pet you. You also do that when you're lying on your belly, but you paw the air instead of pawing my hand. I didn't train you to do that either. You trained yourself. As I said earlier, taking care of a dog is a good amount of responsibility. I remember one night you started to throw up and wouldn't stop. I slept on the tile floor in the kitchen with you because it was easier to clean up. Then, once you had stopped for many hours, I moved you to the couch, we moved to the couch with a towel under you. We never found out why you threw up so much that night. This relates to NLD because when I feel more responsible, it makes me feel more independent. And when I was up at college, I had her with me at an apartment complex that allowed emotional support animals. And there was another dog. I think it was probably a Malamute or something like that. But for some reason, the owner left it in the backyard of the apartment complex. And you never want to do that with a dog, no matter how old they are. But this dog was a puppy. And it wanted to play with Truffles. And Truffles doesn't really like to play with other dogs. She likes dogs that are more mellow. And it would attack her, or at least try to, when we would come back home to the apartment. And unfortunately, I had to pepper spray the dog in its eyes. And I didn't want to do that, but it was my last resort, and it actually worked. And I did that because I was trying to protect her. And the mama bear in me was coming out. I was like, no, you're not going to attack my dog. And I was actually holding Truffles at that time when I did that because I didn't want her to get hurt by the dog. And actually, I've had something like that recently happen as well, where we were up in the mountains, and I was just walking by this house that had a backyard with dogs in it, and one of them again wanted to play with Truffles, and it was leaning against the fence, and the fence opened the gate, and it came running towards Truffles. I picked her up quickly, and the dog didn't really have a chance to do anything, thankfully, but I told her to go back inside and pointed to the gate or to the backyard, and then went back inside. So I think it understood what I was saying. And I closed the gate, and it wasn't a very good gate because you had to have a brick underneath it to close it, to have it be level. You had to have it be level to close it. And that's not good. And there was no lock on it. So if there was a lock on it, it wouldn't have opened. So just some safety things when you have dogs, especially small ones. You need to protect them from other dogs and from animals like coyotes. And in fact, when I go out at night in our neighborhood and early in the morning with Truffles, I take a baseball bat with me because we have coyotes and bobcats in our neighborhood. And sometimes I see them, sometimes I don't, but I want to be prepared just in case. Because if I did, I would either hit them with a baseball bat or quickly pick up Truffles and bring her inside. But I do remember seeing one recently, maybe a month ago, and I crossed the street, let her go potty, watched where the coyote went, and then picked her up when I went back inside because the coyote was gone by the time we were going inside, but I wasn't sure if it was going to come back. So it's a little scary. Thank you for always taking care of me and protecting me, Mommy. You're welcome, Truffles. I would protect you to any means. So having a dog can also help you regulate and express your emotions because Truffles is forever flicking my face when I cry, and I can't stop crying. She also helps me feel better simply by if I pet her or play with her or snuggle with her. She acts like a puppy when we brush her because, sorry, I'm trying to read over the sentence. Okay. She acts like a puppy when we bust her for making a mistake or doing something bad by showing her puppy eye dogs. Basically, what I'm trying to say, if that didn't make sense to you, is that she shows her little puppy eye dogs when we when she has done something bad, like getting into the trash or getting into a little piece of toilet paper or getting into a little piece of paper towel. She's like, I didn't do that. That was tumor. Or she's like, that wasn't me. It was somebody else. Another dog you have, not me. And she's like, oh, busted. And I thought it was a puppy, Mommy. Not by age, but in my eyes, you will always be my puppy, Truffles. Aw, I love you, Mommy. Love you too, Truffs. That's another nickname she has. So I hope you enjoyed that episode. I know that's a little bit shorter than usual, but the last one was pretty long. And wanted to give you a little bit wider episode than the last one and than we usually have, because we need some lightness in our life with having NLD and having other learning challenges, and having, if you have chronic pain, you need lightness in your life like I do. And as Truffles and I wrap up, we would like to hear from the audience to see how you and your pets how your pets help you with expressing and regulating emotions, being more confident and independent and responsible. Always, please feel free to comment on this episode on livingwithnld.com or on YouTube, or email me at livingwithnld@gmail.com with your answer to the question. Thank you. And hope you learned something new today, and talk to you next Friday. Bye. Thank you for letting me come on the podcast, Mommy. You're welcome, Truffles. As I wrap up, there are some things I would like to share with you. I do have a website for this podcast. It is called livingwithnld.com. I also have a Facebook and Instagram page for this podcast. It is called Living with NLD. I will include the links for those in the description. In conclusion, I would like to hear from my audience. If you know individuals with NLD that I could interview for this podcast, please email me at livingwithnld@gmail.com. What are you interested in learning about NLD? I know I'm not an expert, but I do know I have the living experience of having it. I would like you to practice journaling about your gifts and differences. Also, see if there is a way that you can make that difference become easier for you to do than it originally was. Thank you for listening today, and please go to my YouTube channel and subscribe to it. Thank you. Bye.